Everybody. I just wanted to roll in a little bit early and let people arrive. And I'm also going to be broadcasting from the La Maison de Rouge Instagram. So I'm going to set that up real quick. Yes, you're first, Isley Stimbus. You're the first to comment. You're not the first to arrive. So hopefully I will be able to answer everybody's questions. Hello, Instagram land. Hi Jen Redfire and VG and Lavin Kenny and Bruce and Mike Pack. Hello. Hello, Man Peach. So I'm just going to call people by their screen names because even though I know maybe some of your personal names or your pet names that I've given you, I'm just going to use whatever. Hi Iron. I'm just going to use whatever name that you are representing with. Yes, I know VG is Vincent. No foot request. Yes, thank you, Kenny. Maybe you could be the foot patrol or the anti-foot patrol. Jessica. Hi, Jessica. What's on my feet? Well, toes. Thank you. Supplicate. Hi, CG. My shirt has printed chains on it. Probably the only time you'll see me in chains. Thank you, Mike Pack. So I'm going to do this thing that I don't normally do, which is try to answer Instagram questions as well, and it will be hello D-Tyresis. Good to see you. So yeah, I'm here in my yurt, and hello Math Magazine. It's so good to see all of you here, and do you see this in Mercy? Not really sure about that. But maybe jog my memory a little bit about Mercy. I'm not sure if we had a conversation about it. You're a secret Trump supporter. Will you please punish me for this? If you book a session, I will punish you for any little thing that you think is worth punishing you for. So yeah. Going to answer all the questions on both Instagram and Periscope. So I might get overwhelmed because I do that. I do get overwhelmed, and it's very easy for me to like lose track and get distracted and get excited, and then I'm all over the place. So if you guys would like to do me a favor, write down your questions and ask them one at a time. So first question, how often do you travel for sessions? Just kind of whenever I feel like it, when there's somewhere that I haven't been and it appeals to me. And, it's kind of, sometimes there's regular places like San Francisco, sometimes I'm not so regular. I don't really have a really great answer. So you'll just have to pay attention to my social media and all that stuff. My favorite places to travel and why? I like going to new places because I like learning new things and expanding my mind and learning about new cultures and new people and different ways to do different things or different ways to do the same things, other than limiting myself to just what I know. So I'm an explorer, I'm an adventurer. I like to maybe go places that challenge my beliefs. I'm a little trepidatious to go to places where misogyny is like rampant. Mexico, yes, I've been to Mexico. I love Mexico. Hi, Fergie. So one of my favorite places so far is the Mediterranean, Greece, actually. Worcester. No. No, Man Beach. But I don't know that I won't go there. Maybe there will be something really appealing to me one day. Thank you, Fergie. So yeah, my yurt is in my living room. Favorite things to do with the sub. I think that depends on, yes, I've been to the Bronx. That depends on the sub. There's some subs that, you know, don't like certain things, and I wouldn't want to call that my favorite, but I like tickling people now that I have these excellent tickling nails. I like dressing people up in ridiculous costumes, subs especially, and making them do ridiculous things. I like to, of course, incorporate humiliation in all of that. I like challenging people in many different ways, on many different levels, making them cry. Yes, I find crying to be very cathartic and a really great release. Greetings, Mario. And I like challenging people on a mental level as well. Physically, I like challenging people's beliefs. I like bringing somebody in a certain situation that allows them to take that challenge outside in the real world. Crying is a result of all kinds of things, whether it be pain in the body or emotional pain. Yeah, so crying is, in my opinion, like a very cathartic release and a sign of vulnerability and allowing yourself to be vulnerable. And I enjoy vulnerability as well. I'm also a big fan of cutting and I guess more edge play. Things like blood. I like mascara to run when this happens. Yes, how did you know? Are you reading my mind? What do you think about the subject of spanking? Spanking is intimate and almost loving in a way. Like there, you know, the associations with spanking are from people who are disciplining you, who, you know, care about you, and of course this is from childhood. And so I think that spanking is kind of like loving in some ways, and especially over the knee spanking, there's this kind of like embrace, I guess you could call it, and the bare hand, which transfers energy in a very direct way. I think spanking is interesting in that it has its own little niche within BDSM, the spankos, which I just recently learned about. I think that's pretty amazing. How about making a man into a woman and having him or her septic? I definitely enjoy making a man into a woman. And that's not necessarily like the goal, making him into a woman. It's more just shifting perspectives and expanding the idea of what masculine, feminine, the dichotomy of masculine, feminine can be, in understanding also for men to, or cis men to get an idea of what women experience. Do you enjoy laughing while in session? Yes, like all the time. And have you ever had a sub that laughs with pain? No, I don't think I've had a sub laugh with pain. I think that's, you know, one way to release tension is to laugh, and I think that's definitely a viable way of dealing with pain, but surprisingly, maybe people have suppressed their laughter, I'm not really sure. But I love to laugh, and I will do all kinds of absurd things to my subs to be amused and entertained, as many of you probably already know. We are a cool niche, we spankos. Yes, you're welcome, Mario. So, do you have a recent example of humiliation? What exactly is a clown boner? A clown boner. So a recent example of humiliation is dressing somebody like a clown and making them do some awful, ridiculous thing like dancing a little jig or hanging weights off of them, or you know, like getting them motivated to dance a little jig by electrocuting certain parts of their body. And then of course the humiliating part is also very subjective and contextual to who you are, what you find humiliating, what your cultural background is. So there is no one size fits all humiliation. In front of my friends. No, not in front of my friends. That is not something that I do without specific request and consent, because if I was to bring my friends into a session, I would definitely tell them, exactly what was going on and what they'd be getting themselves into, but I would not do it in public because there will most likely be non-consenting parties witnessing what's going on, and that's not cool. Let's see, I feel like there was a question that I missed, but you guys have been pacing the questions really well. I really appreciate that. So yeah, do you hug your subs? Is that normal? How emotionally connected to them are you? I absolutely hug my subs. First and foremost, we're all human. Despite our role of dominant sub, like fetish, whatever, it's really important to acknowledge that being human is kind of the foundation of our connection, and I always hug them goodbye, at least. I mean, if they're brand new, then I'll, maybe contain myself to a handshake. But I find that a full body hug, not just like kind of, putting them in the space of my arms, but just like pressing myself up against a person for a real hug, is a really non-verbal way of connecting with somebody and letting them know that, I appreciate them. And hopefully other people see the importance of a hug. I've definitely had some people kind of like, want to do a little more. So I, whatever. My favorite taco filling is, I really enjoy all kinds of tacos. I think that my favorite is fish taco. I like grilled fish, and I like cabbage or coleslaw. Do you believe in complete female dominance? I absolutely do. I'm a female supremacist. And that was a yes or no question. Do you have preference for male or female subs? I have been working mostly with male subs for the 9.5 years that I've been dominating. And I've recently experienced having a female sub. And I have to say that there is a special connection with the female sub that I've have difficulty, or it takes a long time to cultivate with male subs. Not all male subs. I definitely have really special connections with many of them as well, but it's different. It's always a slightly different dynamic with genders. Let's see. Are you in a relationship while doing this? Yes, I am in an open relationship, and I have been ever since the very beginning. So I will update you about my hypnosis, and then earliest memory looking back as a sign. I will get to that in a second. Don't ask any more questions for now. So for my hypnosis update, I am in hypnosis 2 now. So that is advanced hypnosis training. I'm learning a lot of very interesting ways to speak and use language, and a lot of different techniques to induce as well as utilize certain types of language that my client, let's call him my client, when I'm hypnotizing a client or a sub or whatever, hypnotizing the other person, there's so many different ways to do it, and a lot of it begins with just simply sitting down and talking. And I'm learning so much that I am really excited about incorporating elements of hypnosis into my sessions. And so that's something to know about me, is that I will be doing that here and there, and I will not be implanting any crazy orders of like, every time you hear a car go by, you'll bark like a dog, or anything like that, because I don't know how to do that. Like it seems kind of silly, and like you're fucking with somebody, and that's not very ethical. So I won't be doing that. And then my earliest age of remembering that I was dominant or about to, like embark on that I'm a dominant person, and very perverted, and let's see. I think it was when I was around let's say 5-ish, and there was this little boy that I liked to play with. His name was Wee Sun, and he was of Middle Eastern descent. And he and I would play like cars. We had little matchbox cars, and I was maybe like a tiny bit older than him, or just maybe more keen. I don't know. I can't remember all the details. But one day he made me really mad, and I bit him. And his mom came to me and my mom, and she was like, "Look what your daughter did." And I didn't realize that I had like flown out of my self-control into this area of hurting somebody so bad that he still had teeth marks in his forearm. I bit him really, really hard. And when sometimes I have the desire to actually like bite into somebody really, really hard. And maybe this is like more of an anger management problem rather than foreshadowing female domination. But that was the youngest memory of doing something that I was like lashing out at, and involved pain, and like the power dynamic of like feeling like I was usually controlling the play, the cars, kind of directing him where to go, and telling him how to do it. I also have a memory, and this isn't necessarily like specifically female domination, but when I used to play with Barbies, I would design and orchestrate an orgy, and it would and to this day it's still something that I enjoy doing, is like kind of collecting the Barbies, collecting the dolls, and kind of ordering them around to like, now you do this, and now you do this, and I just sit there and watch. So that's definitely a fantasy that I have, and I believe that our last guest, Mackenzie, also, it's not uncommon for women to want to experience this kind of orchestrated voyeurism in a way. Are you dominant in your open relationship? I don't want to say that I am very dominant, because our power dynamic shifts and is more egalitarian. We are very much partners. So is my other half a sub, dom, or switch? He is a dom. And so we don't really dominate each other. We seek other people to play with in this regard. But we do play in a kinky way, where there is not necessarily a rigid power dynamic. There could be elements, like moments of it, but we also are very interested in the idea of using play as a form of ritual and magic, like sex magic or tantra. So that's another element of another layer of our lives that we like to connect on, is our spirituality. Let's see. You guys are really pacing these questions well. I so appreciate that. Have you been practicing witchcraft? Yes, I have. I am a practicing witch. I used to be a solitary practitioner, but I have recently joined a coven, and And I'm a pro-dom, not lifestyle, correct, but it is a lifestyle for me as well. So this coven is really fascinating because it grows a little bit here and there, and you know, each of us, it started out as 13, and each of us brings somebody in, and so it's not always like contained to, a coven is a group of witches. So we have our coven meetings, we have a name for our coven, but then sometimes we go and do other things, and there's certain members of the coven, not the whole coven, and then, you know, it's a meeting with a whole other establishment or organization. So it's kind of fluid. It's nice because none of us are like dogmatic about it, or we're not like exclusive about it either. We're very inclusive, but we also are, each of us has something to contribute, and there are coven members that, you know, maybe live in a different place, and so when they come and visit New York, they can join, but, you know, not all the time. Let's see, any religious clients? Maybe. We don't really talk about religion, and if they don't agree with my my beliefs, then they probably don't come see me, and that kind of takes care of itself, which is nice. And then, how do you incorporate your spiritual element with your kink? That's a good question, Mike Pack. I think that my spiritual element is pretty pervasive in everything that I do, including my kink. When I play, I like to keep my play space cleared of energy, so I'll burn sage, and sometimes I'll keep crystals around, and there's always the core belief that everything that comes to me or that I attract is energetically somehow useful or simpatico with my energy. So in a lot of ways, like, you know, whoever is coming to me either has something to teach me, or there's some kind of like synchronous vibe that we can get together and keep going up and up. I'm sorry I missed that last question, and I believe it was from Week for Goddess, so it was something about female supremacy. Can you ask it again? It was long, and there were many words, and I didn't catch all of them. So thank you for, again, pacing these questions so well and not coming out with too many at one time. A moment. I don't see mean. No. Did somebody tell you that I was? In hypnosis, is there a realization discovery for client? Hypnosis is all about the client having their own internal experience. The client has the power, and the client has control. And me as a hypnotist, I am simply a guide, and I'm making suggestions. And when somebody is being hypnotized, they go into a trance state, and they're very open to suggestion. But they ultimately have the choice to not take the suggestion as well. And so this is a specific kind of hypnosis. It's called Ericksonian. And there are many other types of hypnosis. I don't really know all the names of them, but I think that, you know, there's this kind of like, I guess, more common understanding, or the way that people commonly perceive things is that hypnosis is like all about, you know, this kind of like mystical, you will be sleepy, and dangling like some kind of pendulum. And I think that that's a more theatrical representation of hypnosis, even though I'm sure it's effective to some people. It's not always the way it works. Ever had any nightmares of being punished, like how you punish others? No. I don't really correlate these things, but then again, maybe I'm not thinking very. Okay, what does female supremacy mean to you? Okay, so again, sorry, my nightmares don't have to do with punishing other people, because it's all consensual. It's not like some awful thing that happens to them. Female supremacy is of immense interest to me because we've never had a female supremacy. So what would it look like? What it means is that women are given as much priority in all areas of life and politics and lawmaking as men. And female supremacy, I believe, is a stepping stone to a more egalitarian consciousness, although, it's not egalitarian to begin with, because, females would be supreme, but it's more like the pendulum right now is in patriarchy consciousness and needs to swing to the other extreme so that we can find where the end of that spectrum is, and then swing back so that we can find balance. It means that, so for example, in healthcare, that something like endometriosis isn't just like, or ovarian cancer isn't just dismissed as like, well, we don't really know how to diagnose that, so you're on your own. Or like, well, this thing may or may not work for your ovarian cancer diagnosis. We'll try it. Whereas, the idea of like a solely female health condition is not necessarily treated with as much priority or reverence as like a solely male health condition. Like, I don't know how many prescription pills there are out there for erectile dysfunction, or like how many vagina pills are there as opposed to penis pills. So that's where the inequality exists. And there's also, right now there's a lot of shit happening in the US, and so a lot of it has to do with female autonomy over our bodies, and the possibility of overturning something like Roe versus Wade would definitely criminalize anybody that was supporting or facilitating abortion, which is ultimately a female's choice. Like, if a female is having problems with her pregnancy, or was somehow pregnant in a way that she was not consenting to be pregnant, or did not plan it, or whatever the cause is, if the pregnancy is a health problem or a psychological problem, and she has the choice to terminate, I think that she should absolutely get to do that. And if you are not into abortion, then don't get one. Don't tell women what they can and can't do with their bodies. And I'm sure it would be very different if men were the ones getting pregnant. And that is the kind of thing that I would actually like to see happen. Like, what if men could get pregnant? What would it be like? I can go on and on, but I won't, because I think in a lot of ways female supremacy is seen as like a fantasy, like a pipe dream, and I don't think that it's seen as a sustainable way to live for many people, even though it's definitely still my dream. From your experience, what advice would you give other women and wives to be kinky or not be kinky? For anybody, and whether you're a wife or a girlfriend or anybody at all, even if you don't have a partner, go within yourself and find your own desires. And I understand a lot of times it's contingent on who your partner is. And if you have a partner, awesome. But be in touch with yourself and ask yourself, what pleases me? And I think that that's a really great starting point in, realizing and discovering these things for yourself. as well as being able to communicate, so developing a language to communicate these things. Hold that question about compersion. So I think that there's a lot of really a lot of conditioning that women experience where we are almost programmed to be concerned about the male's pleasure and not so much about our own, and a lot of us don't actually know like what it, you know, what like full juicy pleasure feels like. So there's a book that I recommend, and yeah, Explore Your Happiness. There's a book that I recommend, 007D, and it's called Woman on Fire, and it's by Amy Jo Goddard. And it is a really great book for women and even men for finding your own pleasure and coming home to yourself, and then everything else that comes after that. So compersion is like a symbiotic thing. Like everybody needs to have compersion, which is receiving pleasure from the other person's pleasure. If you guys don't know what that means, first tattoo was at 17 years old, which was this little dark spot inside of the big snake, and it is a baby dragon, and it's all fuzzy now, and I think I need to maybe like get a little more ink laid down here so that it blends in a little bit better. And let's see, that's because some females complain about their partners watching porn because they want more kink, I think. Well, I mean, that's always a conversation between the couple. Do any books I recommend, especially for men? Give me 1 second about that. So, I'm not really sure what the complaint about watching porn could be. I mean, it maybe is about like how men think that sex should go down because porn is what they're being educated by, or that they're, you know, like the woman is expected to perform just like the man and have this like simultaneous orgasm like every single time. And that is not real. That is a performance. And I think that real sex is really about talking about it with your partner and coming to understand what your partner likes. I think it's asymmetrical a lot of times how men and women reach climax, and for women it's not always a guarantee. But that doesn't mean that we don't experience pleasure because we don't get to an orgasm. Like, an orgasm is not the only way that pleasure exists. So a lot of times in session, the orgasm is removed so that other sensations are amplified. Issue with porn is related to issue with masturbation in relationship. I mean, masturbation is totally natural. I don't have a problem with masturbation. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, orgasm is not always guaranteed for men either, and that's okay, because pleasure is more important. I think porn can be, I guess, like anything else, it can be really great, and it can also be a little bit problematic in how you use it. So pretend like porn is Tylenol. No. Pretend like porn is bananas. Pretend like porn is bananas. Bananas are, they can be good for you, but you can also eat too many bananas and get sick. So, like anything, porn is a matter of, like, depending on your consumption and what you feel from it. Like, a lot of times people feel guilty about it, and I think that re-examining the way that you consume porn is really interesting. It's also it's also something that maybe you and your partner can talk about, possibly engage in a conversation or engage in the porn together and share the porn. It doesn't have to be stigma. It doesn't have to be taboo. And yes, porn contains potassium. Especially if you clean up your own mess. Yeah, so how many retired pro-doms do you know? Are they still involved in kink in some capacity? I believe I know one retired, no, I know two. I know two, one through a sub, and she is not necessarily professionally involved in kink in some way, but I don't really know about her personal life because I don't really know her personally. The other retired pro-dom is still involved in kink in her personal life, or their personal life, and they also are practicing therapy and with the specialization of sexuality and kink friendliness or kink acceptance, and also queer identities. And so I think because they have had so many experiences with pro-domination, they decided to go into the healthcare aspect of a lot of what pro-domination has, like, effects, like, has, I guess, like, byproducts of. Like, pro-domination can bring about a sense of wellness for the sub, as well as a catharsis or a sense of therapeutic effect. So I think that those are really important to acknowledge as, like, sometimes it's a pathway into a more healthcare focused career. And yeah. I'm gonna take a sip of water because I've been talking so much. This is like a lot for me to talk. But you guys have been so polite already, and I really appreciate your thoughtful questions. And I have no idea if you guys have more questions, but I'll just hang out for a while and drink water. So, if anybody has more questions, I'm still here. Otherwise, maybe I'll just talk about the weather. Okay, so, branding for La Maison de Rouge is, okay, actually I'm going to read these because they are disappearing. I advise some of explaining to male clients. Oh yeah, I was going to answer, okay, so whoever wrote the longer question, if you could repeat that again, because these questions on Instagram actually stay. So I'm going to come back to those. Somebody asked me about a book that I recommended for men, and I don't really, I've been thinking about that, and I don't really know kind of like what subject you'd like to read on. If you would like to read more about accepting your own sexuality in the kink way, or if you would like to read more about like other ways of engaging sexually, like tantra and whatever else, or what is it called, Tibetan sperm retention. I'm not really sure how to direct you in the book question. Broad view on the current education system, differing ways of education in general. I don't have a really great answer for that because I'm not knowledgeable about this topic. I do think that sex education in general in schools is a fear tactic, as well as very, 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 very minimal in a way that like is just kind of about abstinence and not having sex and scaring people into thinking that they're going to get an STD no matter what. Even from a toilet seat. So I think that sex education can be a lot more expansive, a lot more in depth, a lot more kind and nurturing and accepting. That's my opinion. So let's go back to Instagram. Okay, branding for La Maison de Rouge is so spectacular. Thank you. Did you hire someone or come up with it all yourself? A combination of both. Mistress Lucy and I have worked quite a few iterations of the logo, and we've had some help from one of our slaves. And Reiki, hold that thought, please. And so, it's a collaborative effort in having other people help us with the branding, as well as coming up with kind of the originating ideas. Let's see. Do I get a high when doming? And okay. Can you speak about the relationship between pleasure and pain in a kink way? Okay, that's a really great question. And I will come back to you about getting the high 7D. Pleasure and pain are both sensations, and a lot of us have emotional attachment to these sensations. Where unless you're a masochist, you try to avoid pain, and no, I cannot scroll up and down on Periscope. And maybe some other kind of emotional attachment to pleasure, like I love it, right? Most people love pleasure. And so I think it's fascinating to kind of intertwine the two sensations when I'm playing, so that you can hope for one, but also welcome the other. And both of them being sensations, there isn't necessarily a need to attach an emotion to it. So as you're experiencing one or the other, a lot of times in my practice, the more of pain that you experience, the more pleasure you can also experience. It's like opening yourself up to sensations just overall. And so as you invite sensations in, you can kind of widen your channel for reception in the way that that both pleasure and pain are welcome. That way you're not kind of like back and forth with it. And had a recent experience with a slave who I believe asked that question, and I even used a little bit of hypnosis to kind of weave the two together into the larger tapestry of kink. Getting high when doming. Handle the downtimes. I do experience top space, and I always try to re-ground myself by putting my equipment away, cleaning my equipment, putting it away, being very methodical about it, taking my time with it, almost in a meditative way. And then I don't really, I've only experienced a serious downtime one time, and I think that was actually out of a rather toxic interaction, or like a whole weekend of very, very deep, high protocol top space, where I couldn't function like a normal person anymore. I was in a dark place, and I was not able to relate to anybody on a human level. So I had to give myself some time, a few days, to come down from that. Therapy recommends so people understand. I always I prefer people that maybe can give me some insight as to their kinks and why they're into them. But if they don't, that's okay, because it's still a practice of exploration and discovery. And a lot of times, people don't really want to think too deeply about it, which is okay. You don't have to go there. You don't have to make it a mental exercise. My preference is to do that, but that's just me, and I don't need you to join me. Okay, so let's see. All right, I already answered all of Instagram's questions for now. Reiki. I've taken Reiki 1 and 2. I'm not a master practitioner, and when I've taken 1 and 2, I believe that maybe there was something about me or the space that I was in that was unable to really receive all that the teacher had to share. So I'm actually taking it again after hypnosis. I'm going to be taking it this weekend, and it is just level 1, just to kind of refresh, what Reiki means to me, what it is. If anybody doesn't know, it is a system of energy healing, and there is a very kind of like step-by-step way to do it. There's also incorporation of symbols and imagery, and what is I don't know what you're asking. So yeah, it's definitely like something that I would also use in a way that it is incorporated into my BDSM practice, because it is the simple act of opening myself up to the universal healing energy that we all have access to, and allowing that to come through me and through my hands. And it is really just about touching somebody in a very gentle way, not spanking. Although I wonder what would happen if I use my Reiki hands to spank somebody. So any spankos want to try that out, let's get together. I'm sorry I'm late. Do you prefer male or female? I prefer people, humans, who have an interest in deepening their BDSM practice with spirituality or with a more like psychological engagement. I prefer submissives. I prefer people who are looking for a way to devote themselves to something greater, and in turn receiving that kind of fulfillment in knowing that they are always going to be taken care of by this greater force. And I'm not claiming to be the greater force. I believe that we all have access to, I guess, the universal energy, or if you want to call it God, or the universe, whatever you want to call it, we all have access to it. And in some ways, you are playing with like the sublime or the divine or sacred energy. So it, in some ways, sacred energy exchange. That's what I'm in this for. Do you enjoy dressing your male slaves as women and publicly displaying them? I do enjoy that, and for whatever reason that the male sub is into it, whether it be humiliating or thrilling or trying to pass themselves off as a real female, whatever it is, displaying them in public is also problematic, because of course the public needs to be consenting. So I wouldn't just bring them to the nearby park, because there could be children there who are not of an age to consent. But I personally enjoy dressing my male subs up as females and getting them as passable as possible, like full makeup, eyelashes, fingernails, whatever it takes, full body shave, like wearing women's underwear, stuffing the bra, taping everything back, whatever. See you later, Froogie. Thanks for joining us. I'll let Miss Lucy know that you said hi. So yeah, I don't have a preference to male or female. I have a preference for a certain type of person. And even if they're not, binary identifying, if they're genderqueer or gender fluid or just simply non-binary, I'm into that too. And playing with whatever it is that that they bring to me. Have you ever had to end a relationship with a slave? If so, do you still talk? Yes, I have absolutely had to end a relationship with a slave. And no, we do not still talk. The relationship became toxic after a while, because I felt like I was no longer able to interact with the slave without bringing the emotional baggage and the psychological baggage that we had accrued over years of being, mistress and slave, or owner and slave, and I think that that there were a lot of really great things that happened on the journey together, but you can't really expect that all slaves will be with you forever. A lot of times, slaves leave in their own way. A lot of times the dominant has to end the relationship because maybe the dominant sees that the slave is kind of like finished with this relationship. And sometimes it has to do with the toxicity of the relationship. So all different kinds of reasons that the dominant and the submissive, or the owner and the slave part. The reason we don't talk anymore is because it was not a happy parting. And yeah, that's, that's not the way that I preferred it. I tried to make it a little, more gradual. I tried to create a sense of closure and care into all of it, but it was kind of thrown back in my face. And sometimes that's the takeaway, is that I can't do everything for everybody, and I'm not even going to put that, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to try, but it means that I have to, once I realize that I come to the point of being able to understand that I'm not for everybody, or I can't help everybody, I need to go ahead and preserve my own energy and withdraw from the relationship. So, yes, and that is, I think that is basically how all relationships work. There's no point in staying in a relationship if it's not serving both people, both parties. So, thanks for asking. Somebody tell me what time it is. How do you sum up explaining why edging is so important for clients, both in session and out? 750. All right, thank you. Thank you, CG. Why edging is so important? Edging is a way to raise energy. And thank you guys for the time. I really appreciate it. Okay, there's a belief that there is a coil of energy deep in your belly, and we'll call this Kundalini for now. And this Kundalini energy can rise and like energize the other parts of your life. And so in edging, it is a way to take that energy from its origin of where it lives, kind of like deep in your belly, and bring it up. And a lot of times when edging occurs, it is kind of like a tease for a lot of people, and there's kind of this anticipation of climax or orgasm or release. But as you've helped the energy to rise, the edging is basically a way to keep it contained at its higher incarnation. And so I think that it's really interesting when I see a client who has been edged, and the way that they feel when they come out of the relationship, or not the relationship, but the session, where they are like super energized, and it's like they can go and like race some cars, race alongside the cars, and like run, and like jump over buildings, and they're like, oh, I feel so like alive, and I think that's really powerful, and that we're able to help other people raise their energy in a way where they can take it and do something with it, and hopefully not just like blow their wad, and then all of a sudden they're just kind of like, again, just the gift that we give people when we edge is that we raise their energy so that they're able to channel it into something else, whether it be creative or productive or whatever it is. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down in Instagram land and see what 007D asked. Does doming involve sexual activity if the client wants, consents to it? Doming is essentially sex work. Professional domination is essentially sex work, whether it's providing a fetish. So it is inherently sexual, no matter what you're, even if there's no genitalia being touched, no penetration, it is still inherently sexual. the so sexual activity can mean a lot of different things. It can mean simply just talking to somebody about like cuckolding. It can mean allowing somebody to rub my feet. That can be very sexual. Sex as maybe the way that you mean it, 007D, perhaps is the more conventional idea of P and V sex. And no, I do not engage in conventional sex with any of my clients, but I do definitely have sexual interactions because the definition of sexual is so broad for me. So the consent is not really, it doesn't really matter because the client is there to serve, to be submissive. I don't really know of any DOMs that would be like, hey, you want to have sex, you know, that's kind of, I don't know, that's up to somebody else. It's not really something that I engage in. So let's see if Instagram land has more questions for me. Okay, I got it. Good, awesome. Okay, what does your summer availability? That's a good question because I have so I'll be taking classes from 9 to 5 through the weekend. I don't know what date that is. I think it's the 22nd. And then I will have a little bit of availability from the 23rd to the 1st of August. And then on the 2nd of August until the 20th of August, I will be in Costa Rica doing yoga teacher training. I will be receiving yoga teacher training, and I also will be utilizing certain techniques in yoga like breath work and asanas, which is poses, and maybe even a little bit of Ayurveda in my practice of BDSM as well. So you guys can look forward to that in a month. Instagram land has a question. Bring your bug spray. Oh, I will. Do you like AB/DL? And have you ever had lots of experience with this sort of play? Thank you. You're welcome. No, okay, so anybody who doesn't know what AB/DL is, it means adult baby / diaper lover, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Steve B. So I have had a little bit of experience with this kind of play, and I have to say that I'm not a very motherly, nurturing type. And for me to try to access that part of me in play is very difficult and challenging, and the few times that I've tried it, I've kind of made it into humiliation, and I don't think that's what it's about, and I think I'm doing it wrong, and I don't really look forward to that kind of play. It's not that I don't want to challenge myself, but it is a niche of BDSM that I think other people are much better at and excel at because they have an interest in it, and so that's, you know, they can do it, and I know that Mistress Morgana in San Francisco is really great at it, and also Mistress Josephine, she's in LA/San Francisco as well. And then I'm not really sure about DOMs in New York, so I'd have to look that up. But I'm sorry, I'm not super into adult babies. I think that it's, hey Nicola, I think that it's fascinating, and I would like to know more about the psychology of it. I do understand that it's about a time when the person felt the most safe when they were a baby, and maybe exploring that kind of safety and allowing them to just not be an adult and not have an opinion and not really have, you know, too many thoughts. It's just kind of almost like a trance state. You're welcome, Steve B. So yeah, if anybody has anything else to say about adult baby diaper lovers, I'm open to hearing it, to, you know, inform and enlighten me. Um, more diaper loving, more diaper loving. You know, I actually was hanging out with one of my Dom friends, and I don't know that she identifies in this way of adult baby diaper lover, but she wanted to go and get diapers, so we got diapers, and we put on the diapers, and we just kind of like, you know, like hung out in diapers, and it was kind of funny. Like, we didn't use the diapers, you know, to hold any body fluids, but it was very interesting to have to indulge her in this fetish, and I thought it was a lot of fun. Um, but yeah, okay. So if anybody has any more questions, I'll be here for a couple more minutes. And if not, then I just wanted to let you guys know that that my availability is diminished this summer throughout August. And so if you're looking to book with me, please send me an email. Is there anything you've always wanted to try with a sub but haven't been able to? Yes, I want to brand a sub with a blowtorch and strike branding. And I have all the materials, and I've been watching YouTube videos, so I kind of sort of know how to do it. I recognize that it is a very kind of like edgy form of play, and it will permanently mark you. So I don't expect anybody to just like come up and do it. Yeah, I know that CG is not into this kind of play. Isley, you're what do I want to brand? I would like to brand maybe like the back of your thigh, or like some meaty part of you, like your butt. Some place fleshy. So yeah, it's definitely been it's on my what is it, femdom bucket list, but I didn't actually put that on my femdom bucket list proper. It's just one thing that kind of came to mind. Another thing I would really like to do that I haven't ever done is saline injections. It's the, you know, like for somebody who's looking to be transformed in a feminine way. I would like to inject saline into your breasts and make you have boobs. What symbol would be branded? It would most likely be my logo, which is I will show you. It is the logo that one of my slaves has tattooed on his arm, and it is the double D, and it looks like this. That's my business card. So anyway, saline sounds fun. Yeah, I think saline could be, you know, like the body just absorbs it, so it's not permanent, but it gives like a very dramatic result. So I believe that we are at a good time for me to interest in e-stim, e-torture. Absolutely, all the time. Oxygen Boy. We haven't played that way, so I think that might be on the list for next time whenever you return from Russia. So yeah, I think we're at a good stopping point. I wanted to, I think there were a couple announcements. Maybe there aren't any announcements right now. I do know that Mistress Lucy will be in Chicago coming up very soon. So, thank you, Jen. So look out for her. She's taking sessions. I'm not sure how many more she has available, how many more slots she has available, because she's a very popular lady. You're welcome for answering questions. Thank you guys for being so polite and for pacing your questions in a way that was not overwhelming. I really appreciate all of your thoughtful attention, and I wish I could hug all of you right now. But next week, I believe Mistress Lucy will be in Chicago doing the Periscope with Mistress Simone. So you definitely want to tune in for that. She is a very Mistress Simone is a very respected and longtime player. She's one of the, I would say, I guess, like elders in the community. So thank you again, everybody. And I enjoyed answering all your questions and interacting with you. And I won't see you next week, but I will most likely see you the week after. And again, my availability is rather limited until after August. But I did want to announce that Mistress Lucy and I will be going to DomCon in New Orleans, and that is the first weekend of October. So it is a smaller version of DomCon. And if you don't know what DomCon is Dominatrix convention, essentially. So there will be lots of opportunity for interacting, for socializing, for playing, for all kinds of stuff. So I believe tickets are rather inexpensive, and New Orleans, you know, like, why wouldn't you want to go there? So yes, I look forward to meeting you, Jen, and hopefully you will be there. I will not be presenting. I don't know what I would be presenting anyway. We were actually, Lucy and I were asked to present at the Los Angeles one this year, but we weren't able to make it. Oh, great, Brockingtons. We'll see you there too. It'll be really fun. I'm looking forward to that. So get your DomCon tickets if you want to meet us at DomCon. First weekend of October. And again, thank you again for being so polite and for asking such great questions. And I will see you guys later.